the British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com.
A warm welcome to Three Sisters in Wigan for round one of the 2013 British Superlite Championship. So far today, Jake Swan is the fastest man on circuit for the 650 class, and he will start on pole position for race number one with Joe Walton and Tony Turner alongside him. On row two is Anthony Jackson with Sadie Redfern and Tim Page. On row three is Phil Redfern with Mike Bayliss and Danny Kerwood. Row 4 is Wayne Stockbridge with Andrew Crombie and Gordon Knox.
So the drivers line up on the grid for the first race of the 650 Championship in the 2013 season. The marshal runs away from the front of the grid, and that's a great start from the man on the inside from third on the grid. Tony Turner there looked like he maybe got a bit of a jump there, Chris, to be fair.
Yeah, I think he did get a bit of a jump, if we're honest there. Just anticipating the start and maybe getting it slightly awkward. Jake Swan
on the grass by looks of things.
Absolutely, yeah, very wide there, and losing two places there as Phil Redfern came through and number 41 Anthony Jackson too, but at the moment it's Tony Turner out in front.
Yeah, Phil Redfern actually flew across the front of Jake Swan's Superlite and disappeared out to the left, so looked like Phil carried too much speed down the hill there and just ran on a little bit. But
Jake putting a pass there on number 41 Anthony Jackson to work his way back up into third place there.
Yeah, Jake through into third place. You can see there the dirt section really rough, and Tony Turner in the cart that's out front at the moment, number 84, getting a big belt there as he went to the dirt section. And I think Jake Swan getting things a little bit crossed up in the background there, Chris, and was almost sideways as he came out of that left-hander.
Yeah, he really was.
He looks like he's not very happy about that big gap between himself and Tony Turner. Looks like he's
for the cutback
looking for the cutback up the inside. Jake Swan puts his Superlite, the 110 machine, ahead of the 92 machine, and Joe Walton has to settle for third, and Jake Swan will now set about climbing the summit. Coward Summit, he's heading up Pentis Climb, and then he'll drop down the other side towards Rossi Bend and begin the process of trying to chase down Tony Turner.
Turner, number 84, the man from York, goes down paddock straight with Jake Swan in second place, doing all he can to chase this man down, and this is going to be a really hard-fought battle.
But at the moment, Tony Turner is out front. Jake Swan is doing the chasing, and Joe Walton in third is kind of hanging on to the back of Jake Swan, but he's got Phil Redfern in the number 50 Superlite all over the back of him. And as I said Phil Redfern, you just saw from that shot there, he'd taken a slightly different line up the inside to miss out the berm on that lap.
Yeah, and Jake now seeming to get the toe from the man out in front, Tony Turner. The rear wheel lifting from Tony Turner. He's having a look in his wing mirror now, and perhaps will we see Tony Turner starting to drive a little more defensively now here.
Jake's looking to dive up the inside. Can he get to it? Yes, he manages to just sneak it through, threading the eye of the needle there, Jake Swan. He just got on the brakes that a little bit later than Tony Turner and managed to sort himself out. A bit of a concertina at the effect at the back there, because I think Tony Turner just braked a little bit early for that left-hander, and I think Phil Redfern ended up running into the back of Joe Walton. But as it is, Jake Swan is out front, and now we'll have to see whether Jake's got the pace to disappear. Lots of pressure from Phil Redfern. Phil looking to try and dive up the inside there, but Joe at the pace, but so late on the brakes there, he lost the back end.
And we've got a spinner as well just going on to the dirt section. I think that's Gordon Knox, number 47 there. There we pick up Jake, our race leader, just coming past him. He's managed to get through there cleanly and over the dirt section, through this chicane and on to Rogerson Straight here, turning into Luna. It's amazing because we did a kart session a few weeks ago, and we don't realise, sort of just turning into Luna there, just how rough and coarse the tarmac is, and it's quite bumpy as well, quite difficult to change direction.
It is, and you have to get your line right, because if you get your line wrong, you could be just turning in where there's a little crease where the two sort of grades of tarmac meet in the middle, and that could throw you off and then force you to run wide. I mean, it's probably a little bit less bumpy in the Superlites because they've got the suspension that the karts haven't got, but as you say, the change in surface you certainly notice.
Absolutely. Tony Turner now under pressure from Phil Redfern. Redfern now, of course, up into third place, but he's having a look for second. He's not going to stop here, is he?
No, I don't think Phil Redfern knows anything about stopping until the checkered flag's been waved.
Oh, he barges his way through there.
Way through on the inside. Tony Turner's having none of that and gives a little bit back. Says, yes, I've got a handbag too.
Wheel to wheel, both of them chucking handbags at each other. Redfern up the inside, he's got the inside line now, and Turner forced to break there and actually allow him through, or else there was going to be a big collision at that point, but quite sensible to back out of that one. But yeah, Phil absolutely defiant there.
Yeah, handbags from Phil Redfern and Tony Turner there, but they managed to get themselves sorted out, and Phil Redfern putting the pressure on, forcing his way through and up into second place. Phil's looking like he's really got a fair old Turner pace at the moment. Last lap flag is out there, Chris, so he's got one lap. That's about, 1 minute and 5 seconds to see if Phil Redfern could force the issue and get himself through into first place. He was probably about 9/10 of an inch between him and Jake Swan.
The inside he goes.
The drive up the inside. No, Jake Swan closes the door, drifting the back end out wide. They come down the hill and then again firmly closing the door, Jake Swan. But Phil Redfern's got the drive. This is going to be a photo finish.
Absolute classic finale to race number 1, and Jake just hangs on to it and goes very wide onto the dirt there on the outside. But a brilliant finish to 650, race number 1. So 650 race number 1 then, a great victory for Jake Swan, taking a fastest lap time in 1 minute 5.648. Phil Redfern very close to the finish, claiming second place ahead of Tony Turner in third. Then it's Tim Page, Anthony Jackson, Joe Walton, Sadie Redfern, Danny Kerwood, Wayne Stockbridge and Andrew Crombie, the top 10. Gordon Knox just missing out the final finisher in 650 race 1. Let's get down to the paddock with Vicky Monk.
Tony, you must be very frustrated.
Yeah, I was. I got a really great start. I looked to my left, I was like, there's no one there. I thought, right, let's get up and, let's get a decent lead. But halfway through the race, I felt the rear tyres going off a little bit and I was struggling for grip. And I saw Jake coming, he did a really nice move on the straight. And then Phil Redfern, I know Phil's quick round here, and he got me going into gravel, but I just had no grip coming off the gravel, so I was struggling a bit. So I was quite lucky to hold on to third position, I think. So we'll change some tyres for next race, and hopefully we'll have another good one.
Talk me through the race. How did you get up there into a very incredibly close second?
Yeah, just got a good start. I think I was up to fourth. Carried on, pressurising Joe in front. Made a mistake in this corner and he went wide, so I caught up to Tony. Just got him, nipped him on the inside and reeled Jake in, but his wide car to pass, very wide. I tried me down this, but he wasn't having it.
That's what I call a photo finish as well. It was exciting for everyone else.
Yeah, well, glad it was. Yeah, just as exciting for me. As I said, it was definitely difficult at the end, but that's how it goes.
How did you find the track this morning?
Slippery, very slippery, but it's, we'll change the tyres now. Got some newer tyres on, see how it goes.
What are you going to do to make it easier for yourself in race 2?
A better start. I had a terrible start, but hopefully we'll get a good clean start and hopefully win.
So well done to Jake in race number 1 of the 650 class. As we move on to the open class, Mark Richardson is the man who takes pole position on row 1 with Phil Lee and Duncan Macbeth. On row 2 is Simon Nutter with Danny Whitney and Mike Taylor, and James Stevens completing the lineup, the sole driver on row number 3 in P7. Fastest lap time set by Mark Richardson in lap 5 of 1 minute 4.626.
So the drivers are on the grid for race number 1 of the Open Superlite Championships in 2013. And a good start off the inside for the man in the 150 Superlight. Duncan Macbeth, quick look over his left shoulder to see Phil Lee slot into second place behind him. And Mark Richardson, the pole sitter, got a terrible start and ended up cutting grass on the outside there, Chris. Yeah. And he's in the penultimate position.
Absolute dreadful start for Mark, and he's got a lot of work to do now. But man, you looking at his pace from qualification, he may have a good chance of claiming and clawing his way back up the field. Phil Lee made a good jump from the start, but didn't actually seem to get the drive down very quickly. Really coming under pressure from Simon Nutter in third place here with Danny Whitney behind him, and Mark Richardson claimed his way just behind him into fifth at the moment.
Yeah, you just see Simon Nutter there in that pink Superlight, number 19. He stuck his hand up in front of his face when he got a face full of roost off the Superlight in front of him, and then at the next turn he ran completely wide. So I think Simon was slightly unsighted for a little while then, and not a very happy camper.
Well, no, in fact, just looking at his goggles, difficult to tell from afar. But I actually wonder whether he does have a roll or tear-off system on there, or whether it is just a straight pair of goggles. If so, he may well be struggling with visibility here.
Yeah, the other thing is as well is that these guys, that there's no windscreen in the front of these Superlights. You see Duncan Macbeth just adjusting something underneath his helmet there.
Oh, but we've got a spinner, number 52, James Stevens, just trying to get it restarted in the red Superlight there. A lot of these guys, spent a lot of time and money. I mean, I love this new livery. In fact, he ran it last year, but Danny Whitney going with this Gulf Oil classic livery. Not a sponsorship from him. It's just something he fancied doing, and it looks amazing as well. And of course, you may remember from a few seasons ago, he used to run a green Superlight and was in the Crazy Frogs, maybe trying to get away from that. Mark Richardson now putting the pressure on Danny there.
Absolutely, yeah. Mark Richardson, as we said, he was the guy on pole position, but made a complete ash at the start. And he's showing that he's still got the pace, despite having made some mistakes in the early part of this race. The question is can he force the issue and find a way past Danny Whitney? And we know that Danny's always very tidy. That style that he's got is very, very tidy. But Mark trying to force his way up the inside, really hugging the apex as he goes round Luna Bend. He's in position to shove it up the inside, as it were, get on the brakes late, and he's made the pass and made it stick. Great move there from Mark Richardson. And interesting to see, Chris, he set that up about 4 corners earlier, knowing where the passing position was going to come to him eventually.
Well, as you say, not just hugging the corner, but actually, getting that wheel right over the curb there to make sure he can hug the curb, make sure that he's not going to overslide it as he does there. And that's
the hay bale on the inside as well, yeah. That was maybe cutting it a little bit too much.
Well, yeah, maybe cutting it a bit fine, but certainly it was a great move that, because he kept it honest, he kept it tidy, he knew exactly what he needed to do, and he executed it perfectly. But actually, seemingly now, not taking quite as much curb as he had done previously. Well, deliberately anyway.
Yeah, well, this man out front, 150, Duncan Macbeth, he's been very, very tidy. We saw him showing some really good pace towards the end of last season as he really got to grips with these open Superlights, and he looks very tidy, and he's certainly come out of the blocks with a statement of intent in this race, because there's a big gap between him and Simon Nutter in second place, and Simon Nutter has never been a slouch in these open Superlights. He's been very, very quick historically, so Duncan Macbeth certainly finding his feet. Danny Whitney looked very, very comfortable throughout the race and really, really smooth, so Mark must have worked pretty hard to pick up that third place. But this is the man who looks set fair to take the win in the first race of the 2013 Open Superlight Championship. There it is, and Duncan Macbeth takes the win in race number 1.
Sebastian Vettel finger out the front window there as well from him as he celebrates a great victory in Superlight Open race number 1. The results then, Duncan Macbeth takes the win with a fastest lap time of 1 minute 5.866. Second place going to Simon Nutter, and third place going to Mark Richardson. Danny Whitney, Mike Taylor, James Stevens and Phil Lee are the top 7. Just 7 finishers in Superlight Open race number 1. Let's get down to the paddock then for a reaction with Vicky.
Mark, congratulations, third in race 1. How are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good. Shame wasn't first.
How are you finding the track out there today?
Yeah, very good, very good. Nice when it's dry, not too dusty.
Have you managed to get the setup on your Superlights? Are you happy with it?
Yeah, we're doing all right.
Simon, congratulations, second in race 1. How are you feeling?
A bit rough. We had a big accident yesterday, as you see from the car. Bit of an incident with a friend, and my back's a bit sore, my coccyx. But some painkillers, and I seem to do all right. So, yeah, looking forward to the next race, really.
Duncan, congratulations, first win of the day. How are you feeling?
Overwhelmed. I can't believe it, to be honest. Very anxious about the first series. There's a couple of fast guys out there, and quite surprised to get a really good start in the first race and just be able to hold it and maintain the gap. It was not easy, shall we say. I don't like driving defensively. It's always good to chase, but we hung in there, and very excited at winning the first race.
So a great result then for Jake Swan in the 650 class, an epic battle with Phil Redfern, and 2 to Duncan Macbeth in the open class. That's all we've got time for in part 1. Join us again after this short commercial break. We'll see you in a few.
The British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com. The British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com.
Welcome back to the British Superlite Championship. Round number 1 at Three Sisters. On to race 2 of the 650 class. Jake Swan goes off the front row with Phil Redfern and Tony Turner. Tim Page, Anthony Jackson and Joe Walton go off row 2. Off row 3 is Sadie Redfern with Danny Kerwood and Wayne Stockbridge. And off row 4 is Andrew Crombie and Gordon Knox.
Here we go then with race number 2 of the 650 Championship here at Three Sisters in Wigan. It's a pretty blustery day, as you can see from the wind. That'll be keeping the track conditions cool. Let's see how they go in race number 2. And again, Tony Turner off the inside, which is actually 3rd position. It's not pole position. And he managed to get a bit of a jump. And Jake Swan finds himself in 3rd place this time, with Phil Redfern in 2nd. And we're on board there, out front with that man in 1st place, Tony Turner.
That's a brilliant view, isn't it? The helmet camera from a Superlite driver, Tony Turner, out in front. And you can see how furiously he's checking his wing mirrors there as well, just to see where Phil Redfern is in 2nd place. He's nipping up the inside though, with Jake Swan right behind him.
Jake Swan trying to dive up the outside of Phil Redfern there. Tony Turner just getting slightly sideways, and Phil Redfern dives up the inside into the dirt section now, and we're going to see that roost. We just cut away from it, unfortunately, but Tony Turner no doubt getting a face full of that dirt and dust coming off the dirt section. But Phil Redfern's through into 1st place, and at the back that's number 69 getting himself in all sorts of mess. A big hit, yeah, really big hit. But doesn't seem to be too worried. Oh, never mind, that was a tyre wall. We'll carry on.
Incredible, and yeah, that was a big hit there, so hopefully he's not done any damage and everything's still in line for him to carry on and resume. But yeah, a bit of a mistake there, could have easily cost him the race there. Phil Redfern out in 1st position, Tony Turner in 2nd place, Jake Swan in 3rd place, and in 4th place is Joe Walton.
Yeah, Tim Page in the 69 machine hit that tyre wall pretty hard, and
just have a look at the inside over Pentith Climb.
Great drive up the hill there from Tim Page, but we're back out front there. Oh, dear me, that's all gone a little bit wonky there, and Danny Kerwood in the number 7 machine jumped on the throttle to try and drive away, but got stuck.
It's Pentith Climb, not the mountain.
Yes, indeed, but yeah, I think fair to say that Tim Page mounted the back of Danny Kerwood's number 7 Superlite there. Oh! Loose tyre on the inside, and somebody's gone off doing a bit of grass cutting there. It's
well, that's Jake again, isn't it? And there's the front-facing camera from Jake there, as opposed to the rear-facing camera. But yeah, fair bit of grass tracking there from Jake.
Yeah, Jake Swan is clearly a little bit frustrated to have made that mistake and get to the back of Joe Walton. But meanwhile, the driver's out and he's rearranging the cars, and Danny Kerwood's just sitting in and saying, "Come on, chaps, sort it out, I want to get racing."
It just goes to show how light these Superlites are, though, for 2 people to be able to pick it up like that.
Yeah, they literally lifted it off the top of the other one and move it about a bit, and then you'll be on your way, chaps. But it's still...
I would not like to be stood there in that situation.
But Phil Redfern, last of the late breakers, went around the outside. Very brave move from Phil and made it stick. Meanwhile, a little bit further down the field, Jake Swan is trying to get the better of Anthony Jackson in the number 41 Superlite. Jake going to try and dive up the inside, then thinks better of it, cuts to the outside, and then sneaks it back up the left-hand side. And again, Anthony Jackson just managing to keep track position and hold the young charger Jake Swan at bay.
Oh, well, Jake dropping down the field here by the looks of things, and Anthony Jackson now ahead of him, just coming past that parked car of Sadie Redfern's there on the outside of Rogerton Straight. But Wayne...
Anthony Jackson down in fourth place at the moment, I think, Chris.
Yeah, I was just going to say Wayne was on the inside with Sadie Redfern there, and that was the driver that Sadie was having a quick chat with before. But Anthony Jackson got the measure of Jake at the moment, and behind him Tim Page bringing up the rear of this pack here.
Yeah, Tim Page has been lapped by these two after that incident he had a little bit earlier in the race with Danny Kerwood, where he ended up parked on the top of Danny Kerwood, unfortunately. And we're back out front. Oh, this is on board with Jake Swan now. The 41 Superlite of Anthony Jackson just sees the black cross on the yellow flag to tell him that he's got one lap to try and fend off the attentions of Jake Swan. That's about another minute of hell with Jake Swan all over the back end of that Superlite, and Anthony's just thinking, oh, go away and leave me alone.
Well, Phil Redfern probably also thinking the same about Tony Turner here, who is not going to let up. He's going to chase right to the finish for his second place and determined to get that first, I think.
Yeah, the key thing for Tony Turner as well, he just had a quick look in his mirrors there and he realises that there's nobody chasing him down, so he's got the sort of the luxury, if you like, of really being able to throw everything at Phil Redfern. He doesn't have to defend to stop himself losing a place, so he can really go for it, try some different lines and see if he can confuse the issue with Phil Redfern out front trying to defend. So he's coming up the hill now. This is going over Coward Summit. They'll drop down the hill. The right-hander at the bottom is Rossi Bend. I think Phil Redfern's just about got this one sorted out, Chris.
Yeah, and Tony just missing the apex here a little bit and drifting out wide as Phil Redfern takes the checkered flag for 6:50, race number 2, his second win of the day. A great race win for Phil Redfern. So Phil Redfern taking the checker flag in a best lap time of 1 minute 7.183. Tony Turner claiming second place ahead of Anthony Jackson in third. Wayne Stockbridge fourth. Gordon Knox fifth. Jake Swan sixth. Danny Kerwood seventh. Tim Page eighth. Joe Walton ninth. And Sadie Redfern claiming the last place in the top 10 ahead of Andrew Crombie. So let's go down to the paddock as Vicky joins Tony Turner.
Tony, third in race 1, second in race 2. You're going to get the pole position in race 3?
Yeah, we're getting there, aren't we? Third, second. I was pushing Mr. Redfern all the way in that race. We had a cracking race. Couple of chances. I was leading to start with. He got me. I thought, right, I'm going to have him here, and I really pushed him hard. But he drove really well, very fair. So I'm on second on grid this time. So hopefully get a good run off in the start and try and lead and try and hold it this time. That's the plan, anyway.
Phil, that was a bit better for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. Got a good start. Stayed second behind Tony. Got him where I got him first race. Just held on. His tyres had gone by the end, so I think I was lucky to come away with a win, but I'll take it.
So well done to Phil Redfern there as we move on to Superlight Open race number 2. Duncan Macbeth is the man who takes pole position then in race 2 ahead of Simon Nutter and Mark Richardson on the front row. On row 2 is Danny Whitney with Mike Taylor and James Stevens, and Phil Lee bringing up the rear, the sole driver actually on row 3 in P7.
So the driver's just coming onto the grid for race number 2 of the Open Superlights, and I think number 52, James Stevens, just on the back row of the grid, maybe a little bit late out of the pits there, but Dave Dearden clears the track at the race director at the front, and again looks like a great start from pole position for Duncan Macbeth. Time to look over to the right to make sure that he's safely cleared Simon Nutter in second place. Phil Lee at the back there just running a little bit wide onto the grass, but Duncan Macbeth in first place, Simon Nutter in second, Mark Richardson a much better race start in race number 2 for him. He's in third place at the moment, and Duncan Macbeth, Chris, again doing a brilliant job getting that thing off the line.
Absolutely, we're riding on board with Simon Nutter, and again a brilliant perspective from that onboard helmet shot here. Just see how much they're working it on these Superlights. You don't quite realise sometimes, you see them sliding about a bit, but really racing these things, aren't they?
Yeah, they've got a lot of torque, these Superlights, especially in the open class with the 900 Fireblade engines that are in the back of these very light Superlights. So there's a lot of torque there, a sequential gearbox, and the drive that you get out of these things means that if you're just a little bit heavy with the right foot, then before you know it, you're suddenly requiring a lot of opposite lock to collect the oversteer and keep the thing pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely, and keep all 4 wheels on the ground as well. You should probably see him tipping it in the weight transfer, tipping those wheels up into the corners. But back on board with Simon Nutter, he goes over Pensieth Climb. And I never actually quite realised on that corner just how much the oversteer is and how much you have to correct it, drifting very wide. And I think he maybe had a moment to himself there. Back up with the action then of 150, Duncan Macbeth really under the pressure. Second time around now from Simon Nutter, and I'm not sure if there was just a little bit of contact there, and he switches lines on the brakes and then out brakes himself, massive understeer, gets caught up in a tyre, and what's he going to do now? He's actually on the wrong side of the tyres, he's made a decision to try and rejoin the track, but there's nowhere for him. Amazing onboard footage here. Simon Nutter is actually not on the track. Now he joins the track, and he's got work to do, because I'm not quite sure how many people passed him there, but well, he certainly impeded his own race there. Whether race director Dave Dearden will allow him to resume with that, because he technically left the track and started racing off it.
Well, I mean, he's got himself in a position where he has to rejoin the track. I don't think he gained an advantage from creating his whole his own completely new off-road section that he went through, and it took him about 15 minutes to find the track again there. So he definitely impeded himself there, unfortunately. Got on the brakes too late and couldn't do anything about it, so ran straight on. And then, as you say, Chris, it's practically about 30 seconds before he was able to find his way back on to the tarmac and to rejoin the race.
And it was an amazing quick shot of Duncan McBeth looking in the mirrors and then having another look going, where's he gone?
Somebody's pinched Simon Nutter as he's been abducted by the Superlight aliens. Meanwhile, a little bit further back down the field, I think Mark Richardson's now realised he's been promoted into second place, and he's just pulled the pin now and headed off into the distance there. Mark Richardson running a little bit wide as he comes out of the S's, and then they head back into Luna Bend, and 56 is Danny Whitney in third place at the moment. But Danny's got that decision. What does he do? Does he push to try and see if he can make Mark Richardson make a mistake and get second, or does he really just think, nah, I've got to just hold on to third place here?
Well, to be honest, I mean, you know, Danny's not stupid. He knows exactly what the pace of Phil Lee is behind him, but the way he's going today, I think he's probably in safe hands to actually push, because I don't think Phil's actually got the out-and-out pace to get past unless Danny makes a mistake, so he's got not a lot to lose from it.
Last lap flag for Duncan McBeth there in first place. There is Mark Richardson flashing through ahead of Danny Whitney and Phil Lee, but I think we're into these sort of 15 to 20 Superlight lengths maybe between Duncan McBeth and second place Mark Richardson at the moment, but that's not the case certainly between Mark Richardson in second, Danny Whitney third, and Phil Lee in fourth at the moment. But the man of the moment is in first place, Duncan McBeth, just entering the shot, but these three still battling away, and that one's going to go all the way down to the line, Chris, I think, before second, third and fourth are sorted out.
Yeah, I think Mark may well claim second, but the battle really on is Phil Lee's having a look up the inside of Danny Whitney here, and Whitney cutting it back up to the inside. He'll then drift out wide and driving very defensive for his last lap. I think the opportunity to get past Mark Richardson may be over for Danny Whitney. I think he's going to hang on to this third place and bag some very important championship points.
Duncan McBeth getting a little bit previous as he heads up towards Coward Summit, up Pented Climb, then he drops over the summit down to Rossi Bend into the start-finish straight, and there is the pointed first finger and another first place for Duncan McBeth in race number 2.
Another great victory for Duncan McBeth then in Superlight race number 2 from the open class. Duncan McBeth then the winner, taking the checker flag with a fastest lap time of 1 minute 6.231. Mark Richardson claiming second place in the 12 lap race ahead of Danny Whitney in third. Phil Lee taking fourth then ahead of Simon Nutter in fifth. James Stevens in sixth, and Mike Taylor completing the lineup in 7th position. So Vicky's back down in the paddock to catch up with our winner, Duncan McBeth.
Congratulations, you're second in race 2. That's one step higher, only one more to go to the top of the podium.
That's right, yeah.
How did you find it?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good.
Tell me about the race.
Yeah, it's very fast. Yeah.
How have you found the other competitors today? Who's your biggest competition?
Good, clean driving. Duncan here, number 150. Yeah, doing very well. Danny brings one out the back occasionally, and he's certainly done that twice today so far. So yeah, looking forward to the last race.
Duncan, congratulations on your second win of the day. How are you feeling now?
Can't believe it. Second win doesn't get better than that. Final race is the important one though. Second race, nice to maintain the gap at the front, controlled the race. They were in my mirrors for a little while, got a bit close and a bit dicey. Unfortunate to see Simon go off the track in my mirrors. I made a little mistake. He came up, I defended my line, he tried to go around the outside, got on the loose stuff, made a mistake and off he went. So almost handed to me that one, controlled it from the front. Let's just hope we can do the same in race 3.
So a great race win then for Phil Redfern in race number 2 of the 650 class, and to Duncan McBeth in the open class. Join us again for more action then as we move on to race number 3 from the 650s after the break.
The British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com. The British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com.
Welcome back to Three Sisters for round number 1 of the British Superlite Championship. It's 6:50, race number 3. Phil Redfern takes pole position then on the front row with Tony Turner and Anthony Jackson. Wayne Stockbridge goes off row 2 with Gordon Knox and Jake Swan. Danny Kerwood goes off row 3 with Tim Page and Joe Walton, and Sadie Redfern and Andrew Crombie bring up the rear on row 4.
So the drivers just forming up on the grid for the last 650 Superlight race of the day, round number 1 of the 2013 British Superlight Championships here at Three Sisters in Wigan. It's been a cold and windy day, but fairly sunny and bright conditions all day. Fortunately, no rain at this early stage in the season, so the drivers all settling down into their grid positions for this final 650 race of the day. We've got the grid cleared at the front. We await the lights going out again, and a great start from Tony Turner from the centre of the grid, and he manages to get the whole shot into first place, heading up Pentith Climb as they go over Coward Summit, and then they drop down towards the right-hander at Rossie Bend, and a great onboard shot from Phil Redfern in second place there, Mr. Moorcroft.
Yeah, really chasing down Tony Turner and having a look up the inside as he come down Paddock Straight and into Paddock Bend. He's going to be late on the brakes. Tony Turner going out wide. Phil Redfern hugging the inside, the side-by-side here for a moment, but Tony just getting the advantage there. And number 41, Anthony Jackson, just joining in the battle there, and Phil Redfern looks like he's through.
Yeah, Phil Redfern doing enough to just be the first one to hit that big berm and get the face full of dust passed on to the man in second place, Tony Turner. Great move from Phil Redfern there. He thought better of it a little bit earlier into the right-hander as they went, just before they went up the hill, and somebody's upside down. That's 21, tyre rolling off into the distance in the back of the shot. Hopefully the driver in car 21, Wayne Stockbridge, is perfectly okay. He's looking like he's planning on the thumbs up there from Wayne, so let's just push him over. He's still got 4 wheels on his wagon, crossing the arms in the cockpit, so nothing goes outside. They'll push him over onto his 4 wheels and then he'll carry on.
They probably will, actually. I mean, we're talking about the durability of these Superlites as well before, and yeah, I mean, probably fit to go again if he can sort himself out, dust himself down. But we're riding on board again, that brilliant onboard view from Phil Redfern now doubling back around Paddock Bend, getting the power down there, and actually pulling a bit of a lead from second place man Tony Turner. I should point out with this race now, it's no longer the final as it was called before, which previously was a trophy race. The trophy being awarded to the overall point scorer and highest scorer from the meeting. Each of the races, the same amount of points for a win and so on and so forth, but yeah, the trophy just being awarded for overall consistency.
But Jake Swan at the moment is finding himself with a face full of Anthony Jackson in the number 41 Superlight, and they really are taking some pretty big chunks of dust and throwing them up in the air as they go through that dirt section. Jake there, he's run quite wide as he's come through those S's. It's a little bit of a downhill section, isn't it, off the dirt section there, and he's run wide a few times today, but a little bit tidier that time. But Anthony Jackson definitely got a tiger on his tail with Jake Swan at the moment.
Absolutely, and just riding on board with Jake, you can see the vibrations, and that's one of the smoothest parts of the track there. So I mean, that's the force that these guys are enduring. Danny Kerwood with Tim Page, Sadie Redfern and Joe Walton all the way down Conrad Straight there, turning in, the wheels lifting from Sadie Redfern there. They're now switching into that left-hander. Dave Dearden, the race director, watches on. He's come down to have a look at that chicane section where Wayne Stockbridge rolled his Superlight a little bit earlier. We're now back on board with Jake Swan, who's having a look at number 41 Anthony Jackson as they're going around Paddock Bend, getting the power down then, and they're going to enter the valley as Jake goes up the inside and makes a move on Anthony Jackson through then into 4th position.
Yeah, great move from Jake Swan there. You could see he'd been lining that up for a little while. Actually managed to go straight over the top of the berm and throwing caution to the wind there, Jake. Nice and tidy.
Apologies there, Jake. It was actually 3rd position.
3rd position for Jake Swan then. And a real crocodile of these 4 Superlights at the moment. And it'd be interesting to find out what Joe's problem has been today, because he just seems to have been a little bit frustrated and not as smooth as we know he can be, because to get the qualifying time that he did, he had to string a series of corners together on one lap, so he can definitely do it, but just a bad day at the office for Joe Walton, unfortunately. Some silly mistakes here and there.
Yeah, I think perhaps just stuck in traffic and slightly overdriving actually, and that's what's costing him a few tenths. I think, it's all about putting in a decent qualification time. It's just about finding some clear air and getting a decent run of it. And Tim Page just with his wheels in the air, and it's maybe not the quickest way, because you want to make sure all your wheels are driving. As he spins now, Sadie Redfern has to take evasive action around the outside of the grass there. Tim Page getting it going again, but that's really cost him now, because he's lost on at least 2 places there.
We're on board at the moment with Phil Redfern. Actually, we're back to out front at the moment, the number 50 machine. He's looking very, very comfortable out front. A big gap between him and the second place man, Tony Turner, at the moment. So Phil Redfern has got his head down and he's looking to make it 3 out of 3, I would imagine. But there, Danny Kerwood in the number 7 machine coming under lots of pressure from Joe Walton. Sadie Redfern seeing the opportunity to go around the outside, but gets on the brakes very late and locking up that outside rear tyre there.
Yeah, big lock up for Sadie, and that's cost her, because actually for every move that Joe made, there was an opportunity for Sadie to sneak the other way, and Joe just clipping a tyre there, and I thought that was going to cost him as he continued to have a look up the inside of Danny Kerwood entering Luna. So brave move for him, but Phil Redfern out in front, taking the checker flag for a brilliant race win. 3 out of 3 then for Phil Redfern, taking his 3rd victory of the day. So Phil Redfern taking the checker flag then. Jake Swan, the fastest driver out on circuit in lap number 8, but Phil Redfern's fastest time 1:06.197. Tony Turner 2nd place, Jake Swan in 3rd. Anthony Jackson takes 4th ahead of Danny Kerwood, Joe Walton, Sadie Redfern, Gordon Knox, Tim Page and Wayne Stockbridge, the 10 drivers in Superlites 650 race number 3. So let's get down to the paddock then with Vicky, who catches up with Jake.
Jake, well done, 3rd in the final. How are you feeling?
Well, it's not first, but 3rd's pretty good considering. Started in 6th. Can't complain all that bad. And it's quite an interesting race, a bit dirty. Sick of the dust now, but it's all good. It went well.
What happened in race 2?
Race 2. Well, we broke the belt halfway around on the last lap. A little bit disappointing, but it's racing, isn't it? That's how it goes. Can't win them all.
Not a bad start to the season though overall, is it?
Nah, I can't complain. As I said, it could be better, but it could be a lot worse.
There's always next time.
There is indeed.
Tony, well done, 2nd in race 3. How are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I got the all shot again. I've led every race today from the first corner for the first couple of laps. I made a slight mistake. Phil Redfern got me up in the valley going down the dirt section. I took up to him for a couple of laps. I thought I'd push him, but I couldn't keep with him. He was very quick today. I settled for 2nd place. Young Jake was catching me slowly every lap, but I settled for 2nd place, and I thought I'll take that today. 2 seconds in the 3rd for the first round. Very happy.
So Phil Redfern is the man on the top spot in the 650 standings, ahead of Tony Turner and Jake Swan. Then it's Anthony Jackson, Tim Page, Danny Kerwood, Joe Walton, Wayne Stockbridge, Gordon Knox and Sadie Redfern, the top 10. So a great race result in race number 3 for Phil Redfern, taking the win. Let's see who takes the spoils in the open class after the break.
The British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com. The British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com.
Welcome back to the final race of the day then, Superlight Open race number 3. It's Duncan Macbeth that takes pole position then, with Mark Richardson and Danny Whitby on the front row. Phil Lee goes off row 2 with Simon Nutter and James Stevens, and Mike Taylor completing the lineup, the sole driver on row number 3 in P7 for Superlight Open race number 3.
So the drivers on the grid for the final race of the day, Superlight Open race number 3. The marshals clear the front of the grid, and it's another great start for Duncan McBeth. Fantastic, he's been really sharp off the start all day, and he gets the whole shot again in race number 3, up the hill towards Coward Summit, dropping down towards the right-hander at the bottom of the hill, Rossi Bend, and then onto the pit straight. And again, Duncan McBeth pretty much immaculate here, Chris.
Yeah, but just how much he's keeping his wheels in line, and that's really making a difference. He's just got pure traction and pure drive there, but the battle really on for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th here as Danny Whitney coming under pressure, or actually making a pass in fact on Mark Richardson for 2nd place. He's up the inside there, Mark Richardson in 3rd, and Simon Nutter have a look. In fact, he does indeed, going up the inside then, and Mark Richardson to claim 3rd place then behind Danny Whitney, and some great racing here with Phil Lee bringing up the rear of this pack.
Yeah, Simon Nutter, great move there to just sneak up the inside of Mark Richardson through the dirt section. So great move from Simon. Phil Lee in 4th place at the moment, I think, and the way that things are shaping up, it looks like actually Danny Whitney's in 2nd, so Simon Nutter 3rd, Mark Richardson just trying to have a look up the inside there, and that means Phil Lee is in 5th place at the moment. But Mark Richardson, some great pace that we've seen so far today, but Simon Nutter definitely had the better of him there in terms of the track craft.
Yeah, I mean, both Mark Richardson and Simon Nutter have just driven brilliantly today. You know, we talk about Duncan out in front. These guys, you know, they're not being sort of proper front runners, as per se, you know, but they have really shown their merit and shown their worth, and shown that they're real championship contenders. To both popping out of the starts and be beating, quite giving chase here, but I just can't see any passing opportunities really for Phil at the moment. Just doesn't seem to have that power. He's really reliant, I would say.
Yeah, I was just going to say exactly the same thing. He's just trying to force the issue with Mark Richardson so that Mark just overcooks it somewhere and cooks his goose, as it were. But at the moment, Mark's just doing his own thing. He's letting himself get the power down when he wants to. He's not pushing it too much. He's staying fairly much in control. He's not letting the back end slide out too much here under the brakes as they go into the right-hander, or when he's coming off the bends and trying to get the power down. He's staying very smooth, so great job from Mark Richardson, and he's definitely coming under some serious attention from Phil Lee at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah. Phil just trying everything. He's actually driving a very short lap when you look at his lines. He's clinging into every single curve.
Drive out
he's
of that one.
Up the inside, and well, he got the power down nice and early there. They always say about getting the power down before the apex. I think he actually had it flat out all the way through there, trying to get the power down. But yeah, he's driven a very tight lap, and that's the first time he's drifted wide, and it's cost him. Mark Richardson coming back at him, but actually Phil somehow holds on to that position. Some great...
No mistakes from Duncan McBeth. He's just driven within himself, on the edge at times, but never over it. I don't think we've seen him push beyond the limit of that car and the setup that he's running there and the tyre choice that he's got. He's always had his wheels in a straight line, as it were, and not made any mistakes.
He's absolutely enjoying this one, looking out, shouting out, enjoying his racing. I think we've just one bend to go. I think he's going to be working his way to the finish line here to take, well, I thought it was the checker flag, but last lap flag for Duncan McBeth.
Yeah, Duncan McBeth, just one lap between him and getting 3 race wins out of 3 here at Three Sisters in Wigan in this Superlite Open Championship, the first round of the 2013 season, and Duncan McBeth definitely putting down a marker to suggest that his intention is to lead from the front in 2013 and try and get his maiden Superlite Championship. So Duncan McBeth definitely got the pace. Danny Whitney in 2nd place, giving it his all, but it's not enough to challenge this man, I don't think, and I think Duncan McBeth, barring some strange mechanical failure at the last moment, is going to get 3 out of 3 here at Three Sisters.
The next round is to be at Redmull. That's a much narrower circuit, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on there and whether he can continue to find the fine form he's had. It'll also be good to see Danny going quite as well. He's currently in 2nd position, but with just 2 bends remaining, it looks like Duncan McBeth may well have done enough to take the checker flag here, Luke.
Fingers in the air again for the 3rd time on the day, and Duncan McBeth does indeed make it 3 out of 3 here at Three Sisters.
So a great race win for Duncan McBeth then, completing the race in his fastest time of 1 minute 6 1:09.069 in lap number 8. The fastest lap time actually by Simon Nutter, but Danny Whitney taking second place, Simon Nutter taking third, Phil Lee in fourth, Mark Richardson takes fifth ahead of James Stevens and Mike Taylor in Superlites Open Race 3. Let's get down to the paddock then for reaction.
Simon, well done. Third in race 3. How did that happen?
I don't know really. Stroke of luck, I think. Only just made it to the end though. Car was a bit poorly, but yeah, a good race, hard race. Duncan and Danny raced well. A good race.
What are you going to do for the next round then to get the car ready?
I don't know. I think we need to have a look at the engine. I think it's not quite as happy as it should be. But other than that, it's drove fine. You know, it's just my experience now because it's my first race meeting in the car because I've come up from the 650 class. So fingers crossed I'll learn a bit more next time.
Danny, you were third in race 2, second in the final. You're going to win the next one, aren't you?
I'm going to try. Definitely going to try. That's all you can do, isn't it?
How have you found today then, the first round of the season?
Excellent, really good. Good start, good positions. Weather's been good, makes a change with all the bad that we've had. So yeah, just a good day all round.
You look like you're enjoying yourself out there and you're doing very well as a result of it.
Definitely enjoying myself, definitely. But it's just new season, so we'll try a little bit harder this time.
Duncan, well done. You got a clean sweep today. What's your secret?
I wish I knew. A little bit of luck comes my way, I think. Kind of difficult driving with people, you know, right on your backside all race. Just had to control it. I don't know if there is a secret. Cool head, we say. I think before the race I've got to get in the zone and calm myself down. I think sometimes I drive a bit too aggressively and it's not very fast. A lot of fun, but to win the races you've got to be smooth, haven't you? Smooth and calm.
So a dream start to the season for Duncan Macbeth, who leads the Open Championship ahead of Danny Whitney in second place and Simon Nutter in third. And Mark Richardson, Phil Lee, James Stevens and Mike Taylor are the top 7 in the Open Championship. So 3 race wins in the bag and relatively unchallenged too for Duncan Macbeth. He seems happy with his performance. We hope you have enjoyed the race and he can join us again in 2 weeks' time at Rednall Raceway. Bye for now.
The British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com.